From Inwood, New York City, welcome to Inwood Art Works On Air. It's where you meet the musicians, filmmakers, writers, theater makers, and artists of all stripes who make their home what we affectionately call upstate Manhattan. I'm your host, Aaron Sims, and this is a special Inwood Film Festival Artist Spotlight edition of On Air. It's an episode that features the post-screening conversation which followed the award-winning documentary The Good Mind with filmmaker Gwendolen Cates and Tom Porter, a spiritual leader of the Mohawk Community. The Indigenous sovereign Onondaga Nation, the central fire of the Haudenosaunee, Iroquois Confederacy, follows the great law of peace. Never accepting U.S. citizenship, it has its own passport and still maintains a traditional government led by Clanmothers and Chiefs, one of the world's first true democracies that inspired the Founding Fathers and the women's suffrage movement. The film spotlights the Onondaga Nation's tireless environmental advocacy and their legal battle with the United States over ancestral land taken by New York State in violation of a 1794 treaty with George Washington. For those of you who have not seen the film, enjoy this trailer of the film, which will no doubt leave you wanting to find out more about this story. It'll be followed by our candid interview from the 2025 festival with Gwendolen and Tom for The Good Mind. Enjoy.
Where we are today, this land is not the United States. It's still Onondaga Nation. It's still Haudenosaunee territory. And we maintain that with our traditional teachings and our traditional governance.
This is a letter dated December 30th, 1924. This is the official notice by the Onondagas that they do not accept the Citizenship Act.
There was no Bureau of Indian Affairs. There was no federal government. There was only the chiefs and the people. And what we were given so long ago.
And a question: how do you instruct 7 billion people as to their relationship to the earth?
The Onondagas began with 2.5 million acres, and the result of all these takings is that they're reduced to 7,500 acres, a postage stamp in comparison to what they had. And the problem with this for the U.S. courts is that all the land's stolen. It's in violation of any principles of law.
So now it's come to this. We've lost the land that they said they were going to protect. They call us savages. To me, that's a savage act, to go into a country and just say, well, we want everything.
As long as this treaty is still intact, we still have rights to our land.
The nation brings this petition to bring about a healing between themselves and all others who live in the region that has been the homeland of Onondaga since the dawn of time.
Get up for Gwendolen Cates, please, the filmmaker. There's a lot of love right here. Well, you've seen this play, you've seen the screen a few times. Would you like to introduce who's joining us today, please?
Yes, we are very honored to have Tom Porter, who is a member of the Bear Clan of the Mohawk Nation, with us.
So you've seen this movie a few times.
What I haven't watched it in
In a long time. Tom, have you ever seen this film before? Tom, I'm interested. What is your reaction to this film, Tom?
Well, it kind of reminds me of my whole life.
I understand that. I understand.
All the struggles that had to be endured ever since I was born. I'm how old I am now. It's I know every bit of it, what they're talking about in that movie. So it's a whole lifetime put into the movie.
Tom, where are you
Good
from?
job.
Where are you from originally?
I'm from the Haudenosaunee Mohawk Nation, next to Messina, Malone, New York. And we're 1 hour south of Ottawa. Our community is, one part of it's in Quebec, one part's in Ontario, and the southern part is in New York State. So we have two countries in our land, and like three states or provincials in there, and they all put their authority there. So we have to go through all that mismatch every day. Because it's one land, but sometimes we pass the border for Canada and the United States, sometimes 6, 7, 8 times a day. Because one house used to be, the kitchen was in New York State, and the living room was in Quebec.
Get a passport to go to the bathroom.
But all those treaties were made, the international borderline was supposed to be up in the clouds, they said, not to affect us. That's what they told our ancestors. And so when they make trouble, we always remind them, but they always sort of deny that it's true. It's like they don't take responsibility for their promises.
I'm glad you brought that up. The talk in the film you saw towards the end of the film, I'm addressing the UN, or it was the UN, right? Can't believe it.
Yes,
UN? Yeah.
Foreign Lines, yes.
Yeah, the UN. Thank you very much. And it's what was going through my mind. What I thought he would say, and he did say it in a way, was that be better than the people who sat in your seat before you. You know, like it's like why for the 14 precious years resonated so deeply to me. Watching it and saying, you know, why didn't you? Why can't you do? Will you do because of the promises broken? And that to me was such a resounding moment that I wanted to. I felt like be better. Like the underlying subtext would be better than the people before you who are not getting it done at Onondaga Lake. Be better before you. And that's the challenge. I think so eloquently the question you raise and the call to action in your film. What now seeing it after so many years, how does it feel to you? And because it's been a while since you filmed this.
Right. I finished it in 2016. Yeah. And so I think there's been another 10 years.
Yeah. That's 24 years.
Yeah, exactly.
And to your knowledge,
Onondaga Lake, same.
Right.
Nothing has changed with Onondaga Lake. And although the Onondaga did, they do have 1,000 acres that were returned to the nation. And so that's wonderful. But other than that, Onondaga Lake is still a Superfund site.
Yeah. Do you have any strong feelings? Every audience is different. How did you feel the audience? What was it like for this audience on a day that is happening just yards away? We're having celebration in our park right now. Drums across the Hudson, along the Hudson. Excuse me. So it's a kind of we're on brand here today in some ways. So there's I appreciate you making the effort being here. So I was curious, where's the movement now? Where's the movement now?
Well, Orange spoke in there certain words. He had a question, he said, for them at the United Nations. He says, how do we educate, 7 billion people has to be re-educated in order for the future to be secured for our children and grandchildren and great-grandchildren. And it can't just be Onondagas or Mohawks or Dakota. It's got to be the whole people in the world has to re-educate themselves about the universal truths of what makes us live. I think that the world has been taken over by monarchies and kings and queens and dictators and emperors. And though there's not too many kings or queens anymore, but there's corporate leaders who are the new kings and the new queens. And so, and they're running the world, they own the world, and most of the majority of the population of the world doesn't really have much of a say because they're subject to these corporate and kings and big, so, but even the kings and the emperors, they can only go so far on the Mother Earth, and that will run out, and then, but it'll be too late. So it seems very important that the education process begins. And my friend here is from Netherlands. He's a Dutch, full-blooded Dutchman, and he's a good friend of ours. And I heard him say that today over there, that he thinks, if I got it right, I heard it right with my ears, that the Indian nations, the one that still follows their original teachings, will be very important and vital to the re-education of the world. And not only that, but when I was a little boy, in the longhouse that I belonged to, it was my grandmother and her cousins, they were the leaders and so on there. And I used to hear them say when I was a little boy, and when I was a little boy, there was a lot of discrimination around the reservation where I lived. The people didn't like the Mohawk people at all. Only we were good just to go to work on their farms and feed their barns. But as far as to invite us in for tea or to have a good social, that wasn't existing. That's when I was little. And but I heard them in our longhouse say, they're talking my language. I talk my language to you. What it's then I'll translate. They said kat kiksuwa dawe nisra. Chia dare guma. Dadi dan chakwe go musadat. That means a day will come in the future when our grandkids and all the young people will talk. And they will talk to the world, and the world will listen to them. I was a little boy when I heard that, but I didn't believe them. Those were my grandma and their cousins, older leaders, but I didn't believe them because nobody in Bombay or Fort Collins or Messina Malone listened to us. Almost like this when they see us. So how are they going to listen to us, the world? But I will tell you, since I was a little boy to now, in the years, a few years, our people from the Confederacy and other nations of Lakotas and so on have gone to the United Nations, and they did speak to the world. So that which I thought would never be has happened. But that's only the first dose of the medicine. There's got to be many more doses. In fact, the rich people who have the money and the resources should invest in restructuring, re-educating the world, because all our children depend on that education. And why I say this is in our ceremony, we have a ceremony for the moon. The reason we have a ceremony for the moon is because we call the moon our grandma. Because the moon, every 28 to 30 days, says to all the white woman, Indian woman, black woman, purple woman, any kind of woman, any nation, okay ladies, get ready. And it don't matter if you're rich or poor or you're good looking or not. You said get ready, you're gonna get ready. That means the door, the woman door opens to provide a soft bed for a little human being to begin their journey to be born. And that's where we came from. That's where our children come from. That's why we call the moon our grandma. If she stops and a woman never doing that anymore, no babies will be born anymore. And our grandmother lifts the water up of the ocean every day, up and down. So that's why we have ceremonies for her. Gratitude that we were born, and gratitude that our children were born, and so on. So that's why we have ceremonies for her. And that ceremony, mostly the woman conduct it, because it's a Grandma Moon is woman, and so on. But men can go to it too, but they better behave themselves. And then we also have Sundance. Lakota has a Sundance, they sing different, and they have their execution of Sundance different. Six Nation, Haudenosaunee, we have also a ceremony for the sun, but it's different than the Lakota. If you go to the Hopi and the Kivas of Arizona, they also have Sundance and have a different language, a different song, and a different way to do it. But I never, and my elders said, you never say to the Lakota, you're not doing it the way the Mohawk, so it's not right. Or when you go to Arizona to Hopi, and all them little Hopis are little ones in Arizona, they have Sundance in the Kiva, and you're not to go there and say, that's not right either, because it's all for the sun. And we all speak different languages, and so how we sing and how we talk doesn't matter, because we're thanking the sun.
We all have our own traditions to thank the sun. Everyone has their own.
Never to question of the tradition of providing that it is harmonious with those elements or those powers.
And Gwendolen has a book in her arms that seemingly segues perfectly into this.
I just wanted to say that if anyone was interested in learning more from Tom, and there was so much to learn from Tom, there's this book written by Tom. And Grandma said, Iroquois teachings as passed down through the oral tradition.
And it's so important to have the. I'm sorry.
Except I didn't write the book.
You didn't write the book.
My name is on there, but I didn't write the book because I never went hardly to school myself. Because my grandma right here never went to school one day in her life, and she never could talk English. She mostly talks in only Mohawk, and she had more than 100 grandkids. And she didn't want to send me to school when I was a little boy. I didn't start school until I was 7, because the United States and Canada used to take our kids, kidnap them, send them to Carlisle and to all kind of residential school in Canada where they were raped. A lot of them were raped, and a lot of them were killed. They're little kids. I'm talking about 4 or 5-year-old kids, thousands of them, to Americanize us or Canadianize us. And so Grandma, and so whenever the government people or American people comes with suit on or something, or uniform, everybody used to hide in the woods or hide in the barn or hide so they don't see the kids. So, because if you don't, they'll kidnap and take them away. That's what happened to my That's why my grandmother didn't send me to school till I was 7. She said, you're going to get brainwashed over there, and you don't want to be a Mohawk no more, and you'll forget how to speak Mohawk and all that. So that's why I didn't start school. And I told my grandmother, because the social service from the government came to my house, and I heard them talking, because there was a Mohawk woman working for social service, and she talks Mohawk to my grandmother, and I know everything in Mohawk language. And she said that according to our knowledge, you have a grandson that's 7 years old and never went to school. And you know it's against the law to do that? if you don't send him to school, we're going to take you to family court in Malone, New York, and you and your daughter, which is my mother, would be proclaimed unfit parents and abusing or neglecting me for not going to school. And my grandmother can't talk English, so I told my grandmother, I said, Grandma, why don't you let me go to school? I said, and I promise you, whenever the teachers talk, I'll block my ears.
Well, you'd probably do that anyway, Grandma.
And I said, because I don't want you to go to jail in Malone, because they don't talk Mohawk and you won't be able to understand them. And I don't want you to do that for me. And so she didn't say no, she didn't say yes. But one of my relatives took me to the school. She didn't stop it. But I was in the 5th grade before I understood what ABC is about, because I had blocked my ears. And that's why I was never into this much. Like,
They're your words.
But those are your words.
but this lady named Leslie Forrester from Canada, she speaks Mohawk, she speaks Italian, she speaks French, she speaks some languages. This is a Canadian woman.
So the traditions live on through your words.
She followed me for 10 years with a tape recorder. And then she transcribed into this book.
Amazing. So you can feel free to email me later and we can put you in touch, or I'm sure you can Google. It's called And Grandma Said Iroquois Teachings.
He has some books with him, seriously, if you're interested.
You can find him in the lobby perhaps, who knew?
And he might even sign it.
There you go. How about that? There's a bookmobile outside. I had no idea. It's pretty easy there.
And so back to the part of education part. So everything we have belief in is even for when you plant garden, you're supposed to sing for those corn and beans and all things in the garden. And there's big ceremonies for them before they grow, as they grow, and when they're harvested. And then whenever rain and thunder comes, we have ceremonies for the thunder. As we call the thunder our grandfathers. And they're the ones that renews the water in our river, in our stream, and they're the ones that give water to the raspberry plants and strawberry plants, our gardens, and our corn. And so without that grandfather renewing water and quenching our thirst, we will perish. So the Mohawk and all the native people, clear to Arizona, all have dances for thunder, because we don't want them to stop visiting us and giving us water, which is needed for our life. And it goes on even for the stars, too, on the earth, everything, even the 4 winds. We've got ceremony for a tornado and hurricane, because in our belief, our great-great-grandmother had a daughter, and there was no men around. And they say in our creation stories that the western wind impregnated her. So that's why all natives, we are akin to the thunders, we are akin to the wind, we're akin to everything that, because our body is made from the Mother Earth, is dirt and fire and air and the power of the planet here and the planets up there from the stars. So it's completely different than the kings and queens' way of believing. That one, they put man as the center. But man is in the center. We're at the very bottom. The wind is over us. The Mother Earth is over us. The sun is over us. The moon over us. We're not the center of the head dominion, nothing. We're the recipients. And we're lucky to be that. So we have to re-educate the world to get back to universal truths. So
Absolutely. And part of this re-education, I thought part of this re-education is the work Gwendolen did in this documentary and your work. And so would you mind taking us back when you first said, I'm going to embark on this project? Why?
Well, actually, I had been working on a project about the very first treaty between European settlers and Indigenous people here, which is called the Two-Row. And so in 2013, which was the 400th anniversary of the signing of that treaty, there's a wampum belt of that treaty. There was a commemoration and a canoe journey down the Hudson that culminated in New York City going to the UN. And so I've been working on that project. And then I thought there's so much more that needs to be shared, right? And so I started this film, The Good Land.
And how long did it take you to work on from? How many days did you shoot, and how long did you do post production? many a moon. I bet.
Months.
Yeah, many a moon cycle.
Yeah, no, it was, you know, an incredible privilege, such an honor to work on this film, and the Two-Row as well. Tom was a big part of the Two-Row Wampum renewal campaign. And so it was I finished this in 2016. It was, you know, three years with filming and editing.
That's a lot of dedication to keeping traditions alive, which Tom has done, and you have immortalized in your film, I think, and keeping that conversation going today here in 2025, which is, I think, incredibly important. Would you all agree?
Yeah.
So at this point, I'd like to, we're going to keep it somewhat brief with questions and answers, okay? And how this will roll is you will ask the question and I will repeat it for the audience. And we'll have these lovely people answer, should they be so inclined. So, yes, right here.
Thank you so much for this film. And I'm wondering, what's the current status of the legal battle over the Onondaga land claim? And you mentioned also that 1,000 acres of land was recently returned to the Onondaga. So I was wondering, was that part of that legal battle?
So what is the status of the Onondaga land claim?
It's still being reviewed by the OAS, but the United States isn't obligated to recognize any ruling in favor of the Onondaga. So no, the 1,000 acres is separate.
There you go. Yes.
We've seen Oren's granddaughter, we've seen Oren's granddaughter throughout the movie and finishing the movie. Do you hear me? Or should I?
Oren's granddaughter?
Right, the young kid who
Oh, that was actually Jake's.
Okay. So
that's okay. Jake's granddaughter is now, they're 16 and 18.
I was gonna
One
say,
of them just had their prom, yeah.
Yes, I was going to say, this is a decade ago. She was talking very hopefully at the end about how much she wants to grow up and work for the nation and for education. I was interested, now that she's a teen, if you have any idea, if you touch the base and if you know the state of mind there.
Yeah, so those two sisters who at the time were they were so cute, they were competitive. They didn't want to be in the same frame. Film me. No, film me. And then I'm like, can you just name your sister now? So one just had her prom. And one is 16. The one who sang, Chevelle, is 16. And Cadence is 18 and graduating from high school. And they're both on the softball team, on this really fantastic softball team, and they will work for the nation.
Wonderful.
For
Keeping
sure.
the tradition.
Haudenosaunee, absolutely.
Any other questions? Yes.
The school, the Onondaga school goes to middle school at the end of 8th grade. What happens to the children then? Do they have a choice to go?
What happens to the children after 8th grade at the Onondaga school?
Yeah, they go to high school in the border town, Lafayette, where there is, which is, really pretty racist. And the nation has worked really hard on establishing a relationship. The elders, especially with the school, to mitigate that.
Great. one more question, then we're going to have to cut down. There you go.
And when the children grow up, are they able to stay in the community, or do they have to move out to work?
What happens to the children when they grow up in the community?
Well, in the Mohawk's Akwesasne place, we have schools run by the state of New York. We have schools that are run by under the influence of Quebec, and we have also Ontario school curriculums that segments of our population has to follow. And we wanted to do away with that 70 years ago, but the powers police that were there would you put your parents in the jail if you do that, and they would say it's being truant by not sending your kids to school. And if we try to make our own school, they said it's not credited, and so therefore you're like a criminal. And so and about 60 years ago, the forces of police was very they didn't sympathize with us at all, and they slapped their finger and throw you in the jail like that. And but anyway, 40 years ago, myself and others said we're going to break away from that, and we're going to make our own school, and we did, called the Akwesasne Freedom School 45 years ago. And it's not funded by Ontario, New York, or Quebec. It's all done by our own efforts. We cook dinners, we have raffles, and we had all kind of things to pay the electricity and the teachers. And in the first 10 years, our teachers were getting, I think, the first year, $25 a week. And then the second year, $50 a week. But now they're getting a pretty good salary right now, but it's not the same as the New York. And it's been going on for 44 years. And then we just, for the first time, and myself and my cousins are the ones that used hammer and saw to build that school. It's still standing, but it's in an environmental, what do you call that, Superfund area. So we just now are building a new school for the first time, way on the other end of our territory. And we have to try to raise 5 million, but we only raised 3 million. And so the building is beautiful. And for the first time, they're going to have a real school with real classes, with showers, and where they can play ball, whatever. And those kids who were started at kindergarten are now the principals of the Freedom School, and also the teachers at the Freedom School. And so it's recycled.
And I think that's a wonderful note to kind of end on, a tradition. And again, as I kind of started off talking about with this film and its importance I feel all good documentaries have a call to action to them. And I think it's still meaningful, timeless in a positive and negative way, obviously, about the work that has not been done and the work yet to be done, but also celebrating the work that has been done. But yet, I want to thank Gwendolen. Do you have anything else you want to add and say that hasn't been said yet? Want to wrap up,
Can
please?
I add something? I want to share with all you here, because just to give you an example of the spiritual, how the different spiritual is. When I was about a 4-year-old boy, we didn't have no electricity. In fact, the Mohawks in my reservation, elders didn't want no telephone pole to go in our land when I was 10. And for quite a while, they were able to keep it out. But again, the government came in and whatever and got electricity. And so we used to have wood stove, no running water, the outhouse, we know that. Cold time, it's really hard to go there, but you go anyway. But you got no other place to go. But anyway, what I used to do, my grandpa would shut the wood stove off. Don't put no more wood in that night. Everybody goes to bed and put quilt blankets on top, 4 or 5. But even though you have 4 or 5 quilt, you always still get chilly. And by that time, my grandpa and grandma don't sleep on the same bed anymore because they have 11 kids already. But I was happy. I don't sleep the same bed. But you know what I did when I'm 4? I jump in Grandma's bed and sleep with her. And when I get chilled at night, all I do is snuggle next to her, just like being by the wood stove. But my grandmother says to me, she don't talk English, and she goes like this, she says in the morning when I woke up, that means you are a bad animal. Because she said, you're just like horse or cow. Because when I'm sleeping, I go like this and I punch her. I don't know that I'm sleeping. Sometimes I kick her. So she says, all night I can't sleep when you sleep with me because you're just like a bad animal.
Restless sleeper.
Yeah. But she never threw me out of her bed.
That's love right there. That's love.
And then one day, she came over there, I'm under the blanket, and here's what she does. I'm sleeping. And 4 blankets, they go like this. My grandson, Tanya, get up. I cook already for you, everything ready downstairs. And she says, she says, I understood that, that's a big word. But what it means, she says, have you acknowledged the Creator? And I'm only 4. And I said to my grandma, no, because you do it for me and my mother does it. I don't do it, I'm only a kid yet. And she says, no, you're old enough to know now. And I don't know if you're a smart kid, or you're not too smart kid, or you're really not smart kid. I'm going to tell you, I'm going to teach you now, and I'll tell you once. If you're smart, that's all I'm going to tell you once. But if you're not too smart, I'll have to tell you for 1 whole week every day, maybe you'll get it. If you're really not smart, 1 whole month, I'm going to over and over every day. And here's what she said. And you can take this home with you to your family if you think it's true. She said, while you were sleeping under that quilts, you see that one, and there was only 1 window in that room. She says the rays of the sun come through the window, or the light of the sun. And the light of the sun is the fingers, and the hands, and the arms of our Creator. Remember that? The rays of the light of the sun are the fingers, the hands, and the arm of our Creator. And as you lay in that bed, the Creator found you. And He come there and He grabbed you from the top of your head right to the bottom of your feet. And He loves us. He did it to Grandpa. He did it to me, to your mother, and to your brothers and sisters. He didn't miss nobody. And not only that, but He went to the barn and He hugged the cows and the horses. And into the pig pen and He hugged every pig too. And He went into the woods and He hugged every tree, everything that lives. Every day the Creator hugs us from the top of our head to the bottom of our feet. So she says, oh, what are you going to do about it, grandson? And again, I don't know. And so she said, here's what you do. She says, you do this. You didn't even get out of bed, but your eyes open, and you're still in bed, and you're seeing the light. And what did I say, what did Grandma say that light was? Fingers, the hands, and the arms of our Creator. And He come and He hugs you. So what are you going to do about it? She said, this is what you do. You say, that's all you got to say. Now put your pants on and get ready to do what you're going to do today. Translation. Yahweh means thank you. You're the one who made me or created me. I send you my thank you, my greetings, and my love. Now put your pants on.
Words from the top. Absolutely. Thank you so much, Tom. Thank you, Gwendolen, for your wonderful film.
Thank you so much for this festival. It's screening, doing so much work.
What a fantastic conversation, and so important to preserve Tom's stories and the work of Gwendolen. I thank them both again for joining me. And congrats on Gwendolen on winning the documentary award at the Inwood Film Festival for excellence in filmmaking. So this is a special Inwood Film Festival Artist Spotlight edition of Inwood Art Works On Air. We hope you enjoyed it. Again, this is where we meet the musicians, writers, theater makers, and filmmakers, of course, of all stripes here in the Uptown Manhattan community. If you have a moment, please show some love right now and rate and review this podcast 5 stars. We really appreciate it. Also, many thanks to Grayson Horan for recording that interview and to hightaste.com for Uptown promotional support. You can support On Air and all of our programming by making a tax-free donation to inwoodartworks.nyc/donate. Be sure to follow us on social media to keep all that we do, which includes the Inwood Film Festival, Filmworks Al Fresco live performances, and so much more. Inwood Art Works On Air is proudly supported in part by public funds, the New York City Department of Cultural Affairs, in partnership with the City Council, and Inwood Art Works programming is made possible by the New York State Council on the Arts, with the support of the Office of the Governor and the New York State Legislature. From the top of Manhattan and the bottom of our hearts, thank you so much for tuning in. This is Aaron Sims for Inwood Art Works On Air.